Hello all, welcome to the new Simply Put series by Kalamai's Academy. This is Priyanka Mahapatra, faculty at Kalamai's. So today we'll be having a discussion on the newspaper dated 18th December 2023. So the text and the context section of the Hindu newspaper was having an important article today about the selection of election commissioners. This we are going to discuss. Other than that, the European Union's Artificial Intelligence Act, this has already been discussed in the previous videos. You can refer that, right? Coming to the explain section of the Indian Express newspaper, three articles were very important about the ketamine. You should be knowing what is ketamine, about the agri terms of trade TOT of agriculture, and about the Mathura's Krishna Janmasthan temple and what is its history about, right? So let's get started. So these are the four articles we are going to discuss today, which are displayed on your screen. So the first article is about the selection of election commissioners in India. So what has happened recently, the Rajya Sabha has passed a bill which provides for the procedure of appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner and the two other election commissioners. So the bill is named as the Chief Election Commissioner and the other election commissioners appointment conditions of office and terms of Bill 2023. Right? So now the question arises that so far how the selection of election commissioners and the CEC were done. Was the constitution providing anything or any law of parliament was guaranteeing that? So what does the constitution say? That is article 324 of the constitution. It provides for the composition of the election commission of India, which consists of one chief election commissioner and two other election commissioners, right? And the constitution of India, it has left to the parliament that it comes with a law with regard to the appointment process of the CEC and EC, right? So under the existing parliamentary law, the conditions of service are very well defined, but it is silent with respect to the appointments. What is the criteria of the chief election commissioner, right? And therefore the appointments are just made by the president on the aid and advice of the council of ministers, that is the central government. Hence there is no mechanism for ensuring the independence of the appointment process, because election commission is such an institution which is very much required for the democracy. It ensures free and fair elections, right? So for this kind of institution we need independence in the appointment process, so that there is no bias, there is no favoritism in the appointment process, right? For this reason we have brought this bill. So the Supreme Court ruling has been in the favor of bringing independence to the institution of Election Commission of India, because it is this institution that can ensure free and fair elections for a vibrant democracy like India, right? For that matter, it has referred to other institutions with independent appointment mechanisms like National and State Human Rights Commission, to CBI, Information Commission and Lokpal, right? And in Anup Baranwal case, you should be remembering this case where Supreme Court has told that the appointment has to be done by a committee comprising of Prime Minister, Chief Justice of India and leader of opposition or the largest opposition party in the Lok Sabha. Very important here. So this is where the current law or the current bill is differing from the Supreme Court ruling. Here the Supreme Court is saying that they have to be appointed by a committee which comprises of Prime Minister, Chief Justice of India and the leader of opposition. But the current bill is differing from the Supreme Court ruling in the Anup Baranwal case. So in the Anup Baranwal case, Supreme Court held that we should be having a selection committee comprising of Prime Minister, Chief Justice of India and leader of opposition party. But the current bill has removed the Chief Justice of India from the selection process. This is important to remember. Again, instead of him, the Union Cabinet Minister nominated by the Prime Minister is been inserted. So currently we are having according to the bill, we are having that the President will be appointing the Chief Election Commissioner and the election commissioners based on the recommendation of the selection committee, which will comprise of the Prime Minister, leader of opposition and Union Cabinet Minister nominated by the Prime Minister. So here look at the supremacy of the executive again, right? By removing the Chief Justice of India, we have brought less independence now to the appointment process again, right? And there has been a supremacy of the executive again. Because you know what are the politics behind the LOP. The LOP is not their maximum time, due to various reasons, Again, it has defined in the bill that the chief election commissioner and the other election commissioners must have held a position equivalent to the rank of secretary to the government of India. This has been defined now. What is the criteria? Who is eligible for the post? And then a search committee which will be led by Minister of Law and Justice will be there, who will compile a panel of 5 individuals for the consideration of the selection committee. So here a search committee would first compile the names and then send to the selection committee. And the selection committee will comprise of Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition and Union Cabinet Minister, who will be actually behind the decision of whom we are going to appoint this time, the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners. And lastly, the President will be appointing on the advice of this selection committee, right? So various global practices around the world, like in South Africa, UK, US, they have regarded the independence of the institution. Like in US, the appointment is done by the president but is confirmed by the Senate. In UK, it is the House of Commons who approves the candidates. So look at the independence of the institution everywhere. So the main issue with this bill is that it has retained the executive primacy in the selection committee, because there is no place for the Chief Justice of India according to the Supreme Court ruling. It has favored the incumbent government. It has favored the executive primacy, right? So bringing less independence to the institution. But ending with an optimistic note, there is a great deal of confidence in the public that at least we have brought something. We have moved from the appointment process from just an executive decision to a committee-based selection, right? So this was all about this discussion. Next, we come to the terms of trade in the agriculture. So this becomes very, very important from your prelims point of view, when question can be asked directly from the terms of trade. What do you mean by terms of trade? What is the concept behind it? What is the relation? Right? So why this is in news? Because recently Niti Aayog member Ramesh Chand, he has shown that the terms of trade for Indian agriculture has improved in the last 20 years. So here it is important to know what is terms of trade. That is the movement of prices of farm commodities relative to that of non-farm goods and services. That means if we say that the TOT is improving for the Indian agriculture, that means the farmers are in an advantageous position. They are benefiting more as compared to the non-farm sector. Right? Here, you need to understand that if the TOT is improving for the farmers, then the agricultural commodities that the farmers are buying and selling, they are fetching them more income than what expenses they are doing in the non-farm sector. So if it is improving, that means the farmers are in a better position now, right? Then how do we calculate the TOT? How do we calculate the terms of trade? So we all know, you must have read in your economy chapters, that when we divide the GBA for agriculture at current price by constant price, then we get the inflation or deflator in the agricultural sector. The same thing can be done for the non-farm goods and services. Then to get the TOT, we have to divide the deflator of agriculture sector by non-farm goods and services, right? So we get the deflators in both the scenarios. This is 1 and this is 2. Then just divide 1 by 2. We get the terms of trade, right? So this you must be clear from your prelims point of view. Anything can be asked from this topic. This is very, very important for this year. Right? And again, a point to be noted that the real growth has been around 3.7% in Indian agriculture from 2005-06 to 2021-22. This is also a point to be remembered from your prelims point of view. Right? So the third article is about the ketamine. So why this drug is in news? Because recently, last month, we got our friend's actor Matthew Perry suddenly dead. And now the autopsy report is saying that he died from the acute effects of ketamine. So here it is important to know the meaning of ketamine, okay, and why it has been used, for what purpose it has been used. So it can be directly asked in the prelims in the match the following or a part of the option of the prelims exam of the question, right? So you should be knowing it very clearly. This is important from this year point of view. So it is an anesthetic hallucinogen, a dissociative anesthetic hallucinogen, where it creates a feeling of detachment from the pain and environment. It has been used for treating depression and other mental illnesses. Sometimes it has been used as a recreational drug, popularly known as K or Special K among the club goers. Very, very important facts you should be remembering from your prelims point of view. Then we come to the Krishna Janmasthan temple in Mathura. So why this is in news? Because recently Supreme Court has declined to stay an order issued by Allahabad High Court allowing a survey of the Shahi Iddah Mosque in Mathura, which is believed to have been built at the site where Lord Krishna was born, that is Krishna Janmasthan. So here, this article is very, very important from your art and culture point of view, from your history point of view. So here you should be knowing which rulers came here, who was responsible for the decline, for the decay of the temples there, for the damage of the temples there, which all temples existed, which all historians traveled there, which travelers went there, right? So there are very, very important facts written in this article. So you should be remembering them from the prelims point of view. So the first temple at this site was built around 1st century. So the first temple at Krishna Janmasthan site in Mathura was built around 1st century. Then an elaborate version of the temple was constructed at the same site during the reign of Chandragupta II or Vikramaditya, right? And Alexander Cunningham, who is the famous archaeologist, he believed that the site originally contained Buddhist structures also, which were later destroyed and the materials were reused to build the Hindu temple. Very, very important. So the Buddhism and Jainism also existed there. Ancient Mathura Chinese pilgrims like Fahian and Huensang, they also described the stupas and monasteries found in Mathura. Very, very important. You should be knowing that Buddhism was sustaining in Mathura. Then comes Mahmud of Ghazni, who was the ruler of Ghaznavid Empire. Then he made significant damage to the areas, to the sites, to the temples there. He went there to Mathura. He personally stayed there for 20 days and made all the damage through the fire and pillage. It has been documented by the historian Muhammad Qasim Ferishta. This name is very, very important again from the UPSC perspective. This name can be asked directly in your prelims exam asking that whether he was a historian or a poet or an artist or a painter. So UPSC has started asking these questions about the unique personalities in news. So you should be very particular about remembering those names and how they are associated to, right? Again, coming to the Jain and the Buddhist centers just that we discussed in Mathura, they were already in decline because of the rulers' attacks and they came under the attacks of Mahmud of Ghazni again. So that's how we can see that how the temples and the monasteries built by Buddhists, Jains and Hindus were either abandoned and left to collapse into ruins or were destroyed by these Muslim rulers, right? But an interesting fact here that has been documented by the historian Al-Biruni, this again is very, very important, this name, which he said that Mathura always remained a prominent pilgrimage site in India, particularly among the Brahmins. So why this is possible again? Because of the rise of Vaishnavism there. So this decline or the ruins of the temples that contributed to the emergence of the new form of Vaishnavism in the area. How? Because the Vaishnava Bhakti saints from the southern and the eastern India, they traveled and preached an intensely emotional and personal form of Krishna worship. So that's how they gained prominence in Mathura. Leaders like Nimbarka Ballabha and Chaitanya, they inspired the reclamation of Braj there, Krishna there, right? And the temples of Mathura again saw a resurgence under the Mughal rulers again. By the Akbar reign, you know how Akbar was. He was a liberal and tolerant ruler, right? So he made a number of land and revenue grants to the temples of various Vaishnava sects in Mathura. This also you have to remember, right? So you can see in this painting that this is Akbar in the left, in the center it is Tansen, and how they have gone to Vrindavan to visit Swami Haridas. Swami Haridas was the teacher of Tansen, right? So there has been paintings also to portray the Mughal rulers' influence in Mathura. Then under the reign of Akbar's son Jahangir, Raja Veer Singh Dev, who is the Rajput ruler of the Orcha kingdom, okay, and that was a vassal state under the Mughal Empire, he also built a grand temple at the Katra site in Mathura. Very, very important to remember. You should be knowing that the Katra site in Mathura was not built by Jahangir. It was under his reign. But the Rajput ruler, he built the site in Mathura. Again, the account by the French traveler Tavernier, he also visited Mathura. He said that the temples were built with red sandstone. Very, very important. The material also, it is asked by UPSC so many times. So you should be noting it down for the prelims preparation that the site, Katra site in Mathura, it was built with red sandstone. And the traveler also, the name of the traveler. And the Venetian traveler Nicola Manusci, he also visited Mathura. Very, very important to remember. And wrote about the temples there. Again, Jahangir's grandson Dara Shikoh, he also did some renovations. But ultimately, what happened? The temples were destroyed by the order of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was known for his stern attitude towards the temples, towards Hinduism. So he issued a royal farman ordering the destruction of Hindu schools and temples across the Mughal kingdom. So the Kashi Vishwanath temple in Kashi was also destroyed by this royal farman by the Aurangzeb. And in that place, by destroying the Keshava Deva temple at the original Krishna Janmasthan, Shahi Idgah mosque was built by Aurangzeb. This also you have to remember from the prelims point of view. Right? So that is how Shahi Idgah mosque came into picture. It was built by Aurangzeb in 1670 CE. Then comes the present day temples. Today we are having Shahi Idgah mosque, which is seen in this picture. Okay, this is adjacent to the temple that is taking its present shape now. Okay, and these construction of the temple happened in 1953 and it was funded by industrialists and the business families of India. So only these details you have to remember from your prelims point of view, right? No need to go into much detail to understand the details of history, right? So this is all about today's discussion. Before that, I want to let you know that the discussion, the short notes of this video discussion will be provided in our Telegram channel, that is the Kalamais Academy, and the link for joining that Telegram channel will be provided in the description box. So do join us. Until then, goodbye, take care, and happy learning.